Following what was one of the most entertaining games of the 2025 season, the Cardinals show us again why quitting them is so darn hard.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily St. Louis Cardinals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, Cardinals fans. I'm JD Hafron, a former national radio sports anchor, born and raised in St. Louis and a lifetime Cardinals fan. And I'm your host for Locked On Cardinals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, covering your team every day. This is a show serving Cardinal Nation and giving you all of the info about the birds on the bat. Today's episode being brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. On today's show, we will be revisiting the wacky and wild NL playoff picture, which is completely bonkers right now. The whole playoff scenario in the NL and the AL is a little bit crazy right now with what the Guardians are doing in the AL Central, but we'll focus on the National League since that's where the Cardinals live. We're going to go more in depth on the ABS system coming into play full-time in 2026, why I think it's the right thing to do. But we're going to start with last night's game in San Francisco, where the Cardinals defy the odds and somehow come back from a 5-run deficit over the final 3 innings to mathematically stay alive in the properly dubbed wild card chase. And wild, it most certainly is. Now, I'm not here to rain on the Cardinals parade, but realistically, if we're being honest with ourselves, they have dug themselves too deep of a hole in the months of July and August to climb back out of it and be doing anything that's actually going to make a push for the wild card spot in the final week of September here. You know, that 8-16 record in July, it was gruesome. And then you follow that up with that lackluster 13-15 August. It all but set the tone for what the rest of the season was going to look like. All right. So the expectations were not that the Cardinals would make a push for the playoffs. Little did we know that the Mets would go on to completely crap the bed with an 11-17 August, or now 8-12 in September, to keep teams like the Cardinals and the Giants and the Reds and the Diamondbacks still hanging around. So technically, the Cardinals still have something to play for in this final week of the regular season as it pertains to the MLB playoffs. And on Tuesday night, they acted like a team that was not ready to say goodbye just yet. The pitching matchup, it screamed mismatch. You had the Giants' top pitcher in Logan Webb facing the Cardinals' worst starting pitcher in Andre Pallante. Pallante has been a complete disaster for most of the season and hasn't won a game since July 28th. Since that win against the Marlins, who ironically are one of the hottest teams in baseball right now after winning their 7th straight on Tuesday night. Since that game, though, where they won, Pallante is 0-8. The team is 1-8 in his 9 starts. And the telecast brought up the lack of scoring that occurs when Pallante is on the mound. And yeah, that's certainly part of the issue. When Andre does pitch good enough for the team to get a victory, they don't score. But he hasn't been very good, and you know this. His ERA is a ghastly 7.12 over those 9 starts. So there's plenty of blame to go around, and most of it resides right there on Andre Pallante's shoulders. But on Tuesday, the Cardinals gave him a nice fat cushion right out of the gate after lining up Logan Webb for 3 runs on 5 hits in the first inning. They were off and running. They knew exactly what was coming. They liked it, and they took advantage of it. And for 2 innings, Pallante also took advantage of that little cushion and pitched very, very well. Pitched with confidence. And I was this close to tweeting out, like, where has this Andre Pallante been? I almost did it, and then I was like, well, let's hold off. Because normally things go sideways quickly for Andre Pallante, and it happened. Wheels came off in that 3rd inning, and it happened against the bottom of the order, which is very disheartening. You know, it just makes it more frustrating. Single, walk, single to the 7, 8, 9 guys. The command vanished, and eventually so did the lead. Now, the one play that had me fired up, if you were following along with me on social media last night, there was a play that I was all worked up about, because I'm not entirely sure why this isn't illegal to do. Bases loaded, nobody out's the situation after the single walk single. Leadoff hitter, Ramos, I believe is who it was, hits a ground ball over to Nolan Arenado. at third base. The runner coming home to the plate intentionally goes from one side of the running lane area, which was the outside part, and jets way inside onto the infield grass with the sole purpose of not trying to score the run, but so that he can get hit by the baseball. He's trying to become an obstacle there. He's not trying to go to home plate. He's just trying to get in the way and make it so that the flight of the ball can't make it to home plate. And he absolutely succeeded. I believe it was Patrick Bailey, the catcher, that was running from third. And Nado's throw plunks him and it trickles away and allows 2 runs to score. They don't get any outs. And the damage obviously sets in motion a whole slew of bad stuff. Now, the reason I was worked up about it is because you can't do that running to first base. Like when there's a strike 3 that's dropped or whatever, and the catcher has to throw it down to first base. We all know that there's a running lane there, right? That's where the runner is supposed to go. If he starts going into the inside of the infield, he can be called out because he's not running in the lane there. I don't understand why that's not a thing on a play like this. Like, why shouldn't he have to run straight to home plate? Why is he allowed to just roam free and go wherever the hell he wants? I didn't get it. Apparently there is no baseline rule here unless a tag attempt is made. So Patrick Bailey did something legal. He didn't do anything illegal. It's not his fault, but it just seems like a cheesy ass way to get that to happen. Like, I feel like that's something the league should revisit. Like, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. So if I'm not trying to tag him, this guy can run like over to the pitcher's mound if he wants to. He can run over to the on deck circle area if he wants to. Like, there's no baseline problems there. Like, that doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense to me. If he was running in the baseline and in like that dirt area that you have there between the 2 grass areas, and it hits him, so be it. But here he was purposely doing this. He saw where the catcher, he was smart. He saw where the catcher was going. He went in on the inside. So he was like, oh, I'm going to go out here because that's where the throw's obviously coming, and ran in there to cut off the angle. So just kind of a lame situation, in my opinion. And as I mentioned, it opens up the floodgates for a 5-run inning and knocks Pallante out of the game. He only goes 2 2/3 innings, and he looked real good in those first 2 innings too, but allows 5 runs. Only 2 of them end up being earned on 3 hits, 2 walks, strikes out 3. It wasn't all on him. Like, I'm not putting all the blame on Andre Pallante there, but at the same time, to fall apart against the bottom 3 in the order, to walk the number 8 hitter and flip the lineup over so the top of the lineup has a chance to do damage. That's how all of this got started. So Andre Pallante left. People were asking me this: is he a starter? I don't think so. I think his chances of being a starter, I'm sure they're going to give him a shot to do something in the spring next year. They're not getting rid of him. They're not DFAing him. He's too young and has some arm talent. So maybe back to the bullpen is where he goes. That way people aren't seeing him a second time around and taking advantage of what they saw the first time. So just my opinion, but I'm not cutting Andre Pallante, but I'm going to try to find a different way to utilize him because the starting pitching thing, it just didn't work this year. All right, so Pallante's out. Cardinals are trailing 5-3 at this point. You saw the usual suspects coming in from the bullpen: Johnny King, Jorge Alcala, Chris Roycroft. Those are the guys that usually come in when the Cardinals are losing. That's just who they are. They don't do all that well. Alcala and Roycroft give up a few runs. Now it's 8-3, and this one feels like a lost cause. But that's why they play 9 innings. They do it for a reason. And in the 7th inning, the Cardinals got going. They get a 3-run home run from Ivan Herrera, his 18th of the season, his 8th. Is it 8? Is that what he's got now? 8 now in the month of September? Like, I had this posted last night, but either way, the dude has been on fire, okay? Whatever the stats are for one Ivan Herrera, he has been on fire. He's not a guy, and Brendan Donovan said this in the postgame. He was like, not a guy I would want to pitch to. Not at all. So, yeah. Big fly by Herrera. 19th of the season, 8th in September. Okay, so I knew I was right in there. It was a late night last night. So, so that was obviously a huge swing. And then Nolan Arenado. Vintage Nolan Arenado swing. Yanks one down the line, one of the healthiest hacks we've seen him take in months. puts one over the wall. All of a sudden, we're looking at an 8-7 ball game. We got some life. The bench has got some juice. Chris Roycroft ends up pitching 2 innings and was excellent in his second inning of work in the 7th. So Ollie now with a chance to win this game brings in one of the premium arms in Matt Swanson to hold the lead in the 8th inning. And in the 9th, the Cardinals dig into their old bag of devil magic and get to work. You get the leadoff single by Victor Scott II to left. Brendan Donovan, who was a late addition to the lineup, he smacks his 4th double of the game, which ties a major league record. Victor scores all the way from first base because he's really, really fast. And all of a sudden, we've got a tie ball game. Jose Fermin ends up running for Donnie at second base. Ivan Herrera does good baseball, moves the runner over, hits it over to the right side. So there we are, runner on third, 1 out. And despite one of the hottest hitters in the league coming up to the plate, despite it being a lefty-righty matchup, the Giants pitch to Alec Burleson, who rips a single to right field to give the Cardinals a lead. JoJo and Riley O'Brien finish it in the 9th inning, an insane comeback victory that had all of the energy and excitement of a playoff situation, of a playoff game, which it kind of was. You know, the Cardinals lose this game and they are officially eliminated. But they fought back and they got the victory. The Cardinals aren't fools. They realize that this season isn't likely going to include the postseason. They're not lying to themselves. And after the game, Donnie spoke with Alexa Datt on the field about building a culture and building for the future. And that's what this last couple of weeks has been about, with a lot of the group that is in the clubhouse right now set to be the guys they're going to go with moving forward. And it's games like this that make it so hard for me, and I'm sure some other fans, to be mad at this team for the numerous mental errors that they make on the bases, which are so cringy. Their lack of talent in the starting rotation that wasn't addressed properly over the last couple of years by management. You know, there's obviously the series against the Rockies, losing 7 games to the Pirates this year, losing to the Braves, like teams that you probably should have won more games against. You didn't, and now it has cost you a chance to be in the wild card spot in the National League. I know a lot of fans have moved on and quit watching them on TV. Obviously, they have quit coming to Busch Stadium this year. But for me, it's like Michael Corleone in The Godfather Part 3. Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in. But it was a fun game. It was fun to watch that baseball game last night. So good job, Cardinals. The ABS system is coming to the big leagues officially next season. And I, for one, couldn't be happier about this. So we're going to discuss that next, coming up on Locked On Cardinals. Guys, you've probably heard of Viagra or Cialis. Maybe you've even tried these products in the past. But if you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rougiette Go Long. That's exactly where Rougiette's Go Long comes in. You know, this isn't just another ED pill. Like, this is what we like to call the game changer, the total game changer for your confidence. Go Long combines 2 doctor-trusted medications in one dual-action formula, so you can go the distance. The effects can last up to 36 hours, and that means when the time is right, you're going to have the confidence all day, all night, and even into the next day if you need it. The process is very, very simple. Connect with a board-certified doctor 100% online. You don't have to go anywhere and do any embarrassing face-to-face stuff. And if you get prescribed, your treatment ships discreetly right to your door. Nobody knows exactly what's showing up, just another package, and you move on with your life. So if you're ready to level up your confidence in the bedroom, head to Rougiette.com and use promo code LOCKEDONMLB for 15% off your first order. Rougiette is spelled Rugiet. That's Rugiet.com. Promo code, one word, Locked On MLB, and make sure to use our code. That way they know we sent you. Get back on the field with confidence at Rougiet.com. Today's show also brought to you by Game Time. There's nothing like catching a baseball game live. Gosh, I wish I had been at Oracle Park last night to watch that one. The energy, the crowd, the chance to see your favorite team and players in person, but actually getting tickets, that can be a hassle. Queues, login screens, surprise fees. Takes the fun out of buying tickets, but that's why Game Time is here. It's why I use it. You should use it. It's the app that gives the advantage back to the fans. Game Time is fast. It's easy. And it's backed by the Game Time guarantee, where you're always going to get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price possible. Plus, all fees are included. So the price you see, it is the price you pay. I've been burnt by other places before where you go to check out and you're like, whoa, why is this like double the amount all of a sudden? It doesn't happen with Game Time. Those days they're in the past. I'm not living in the past. I'm here now and into the future with Game Time. They got zone deals, faster, cheaper, less stressful than the other ways I've ever bought tickets. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. Thanks again for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. If you enjoy daily Cardinals content, you can follow the podcast on X at @LO_Cardinals. Also available on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram at Locked On Cardinals as well. So we did get a taste of what the ABS system was like when they brought it into spring training this year. The minor leagues have been using it, and if you've seen a minor league game, you were more familiar with it than most people who just watch Major League Baseball games. But seeing it done with Major League hitters, Major League umpires, Major League pitchers, that was a whole new thing in the spring. And I don't personally know somebody that's a baseball fan that didn't like how it went. You're going to get the people who are like, well, I don't want it to be all on computers and robots and stuff like that. And that's fine. And that's the point of this. It's not just about, the ABS or robot umps. There is the human element, which is still involved, which is something that the players and fans still want. But it worked so well. It was quick. It was efficient. And most importantly, it got the calls right, which is the point. That's really what we're trying to do here. Make sure that the rules of the game are enforced properly and that any human error that is bound to happen, and that's okay, but it's so that it doesn't overly affect what the outcome of the game is going to be. We've seen how, the video replay system has been able to overturn or confirm calls on the field. And for the most part, it works pretty well. Last night we had that situation with Victor Scott stealing second base, called safe on the field. They took a look at it. It took a while. It was a little bit longer than the normal video replays, but it happens from time to time. You'll hear Chip and the guys say stuff like, well, there could be other calls in the queue. I don't know how that's a problem. Do we not have enough people that can just pay attention to one game and that's their job for the night? I don't see how that's so difficult. Why there's only like a couple of people that can do it. That's weird to me. But either way, they eventually and usually get the calls correct. All right. Not always, but usually. If this technology and system had been around in, say, I don't know, what's like a random time? What about 1985 in the World Series between the Cardinals and the Royals? Then perhaps St. Louis has another championship banner and another championship trophy in their trophy case. The Derek Jeter home run against the Orioles, that could be something that was erased. Remember when the kid reached over the wall? What about Bartman with the Cubs? Does that get wiped out if we had this technology back then? I could go on and on. There's tons of calls that are like this, but the point is to get the calls right, and that technology has helped. And now we're going to have the ABS, which will be in place to help the home plate umpires get it right on balls and strikes. And one of the things, and I always go back to this game because when I think of like horrendous performances behind home plate, I think about 1997. I think about home plate umpire Eric Gregg, God rest his soul, no longer with us, but called one of the most atrocious games I have ever seen, which led to the Marlins, Livan Hernandez, beating the Atlanta Braves. He had a record 15 strikeout performance. That game would change that series a little bit. Marlins would go on to win a World Series. It never should have happened. It never should have happened. And if you've never seen the footage of this game, go watch it. It is a bloodbath of a strike zone that makes you wonder if Eric Gregg even had his eyes open during some of this game. And it was always against like the left-handed hitters. Any ball on the outside, like it would be in the other batter's box. It'd be in the right-handed hitter's batter's box. And he was ringing it up, calling it a strike. Like the last pitch of the game against, I think it was Fred McGriff, one of the most grotesque calls you will ever see. And we just don't want that anymore. Now, if we look at, let's bring it closer to home. We look at last night's umpire scorecard for home plate umpire Malachi Moore. We see 81% called strikes accuracy. The guy was clearly giving a couple of inches to the outside corner against lefties. Very similar to Eric Grigg. Not as egregious as that, but very similar. Where if Logan Webb or any righty was throwing a pitch near the outside part of the plate against the lefty, he was ringing it up. Those aren't strikes. They're not. He shouldn't have been doing that. So, with new technology in the ABS, both the Cardinals and the Giants could challenge if they wanted, and the ABS would have proven that those are indeed balls. And not only would it get the calls right, but perhaps it also kind of forces the home plate umpire to adjust what he's perceiving as the strike zone and call a more accurate game moving forward. That way we aren't at the mercy of guys like, Angel Hernandez, who's no longer an umpire, but, CB Buckner, okay? He's a guy that everybody always has problems with, right? We don't have to put up with that crap anymore, or any of the other notoriously terrible home plate umpires who just seem to randomly decide what the strike zone is going to be that day instead of calling it the way it's supposed to be according to the rule book. Each team will start the game with 2 challenges apiece. If the game goes to extras, any team that starts the extra inning out of challenges will get one for the 10th inning. If they exhaust that challenge, they will then get another one for the 11th and so on. If the team has challenges remaining at the start of the 10th, they will not get an additional challenge for that inning, though they will get one for any subsequent inning if they're out of challenges at the start of the inning. The batter, the pitcher, or the catcher can challenge an umpire's call. No one else, not even the managers, can do it. Challenges got to be made like immediately. There's no wasting time there after the umpire's call. You tap the hat, you tap the helmet, whatever it is you want to do. No assistance from the dugout or other players. A team only loses its challenge if the umpire's call is confirmed. Stat-wise, 288 games with the ABS challenge system during spring training. There was an average of 4.1 challenges per game. And those challenges took 13.8 seconds on average. So it's quick. Not a lot of standing around like with the video replay, which is great. And it gets the crowd involved because it shows it up on the scoreboard. They're like, all right, here it is. And everybody's like, whoa! Either agreeing with the ump or disagreeing with what they saw. In the spring, players challenged 2.6% of all called pitches, so very low. And the overturn rate, though, was great, 52.2%. This was higher than the 50% overturn rate at AAA. These major league hitters, they got better eyes. They do. It works. Catchers can still be good at framing and get calls because you can't challenge everything. So that's going to be a skill to decide when and where the challenges need to take place. But, it's going to eliminate the egregious balls that are called strikes and vice versa, which have a better chance of being eliminated. And I think that's a good thing. Not everybody agrees, but I think it's a good thing. Let's talk about this playoff picture. Got an update on that next because it was a wild night in Major League Baseball last night. We'll get into all of it next on Locked On Cardinals. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. $5. And if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Not bad. Not bad at all. Put in 5, get 300. That works out. I love using FanDuel. I've used it for years because it fits. However, I feel like betting on that particular day. You can go player props. You can build a same game parlay or even jump into live action as it all unfolds on your television. Or if you're in person, you can do it that way too. Every game just becomes more exciting. The NFL Week 4 is set to kick off on Thursday. So make sure you're ready to roll. It's quick. It's easy. It's the best way to add a little more energy to game day, whether you're talking NFL, which, like I said, Thursday, or we're talking college football on Saturday. But, of course, you got football on Thursday, and then you get Saturday, and you get Sunday, and then you got Monday night. So a lot of chances for you to have even more fun with your particular football games and teams that you're interested in. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. Thanks for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day for your second listen. Check out Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night until the World Series champion is crowned. You'll get local analysis, but on a national scale. Find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. So first off, I want to congratulate the Springfield Cardinals who won their game against Midland after erasing a 3-0 deficit. It was kind of funny, like watching the game last night in San Francisco, and they brought up that Springfield had won. And they were like, hey, they came from behind. Why can't our Cardinals? And then boom, all of a sudden the comeback was on. They came back to win that game 4-3 and force a winner-take-all tonight in Texas. So we wish them the best of luck. We talked about J.J. Weatherholt winning the Texas League MVP yesterday. That was a big deal. But Eshawn Henderson, pitcher, was named the Texas League Pitcher of the Year. He was the one who got the start for Springfield on Tuesday night and ended up picking up the win after giving up 3 runs over 6 innings of work. So good job there. Manager Patrick Anderson also won Manager of the Year for the Texas League. They're going to have Bryson Motts on the mound tonight. He was named a postseason All-Star, along with outfielder Joshua Baez, who had a monster season this year. Very excited about the future of that young man. So it's good to see some of the talent in the system getting some recognition, and hopefully they'll be able to help the Cardinals compete for championships in the very near future. So mathematically, the Cardinals are still alive. It's insane, but they're still alive in the MLB playoffs. Very slim, but 3.5 back behind the Mets, who won on Tuesday night, coming from behind to beat the Cubs. They were down 6-1 at one point, and the Cubs blew the lead. And Mets came back and won it by a score of 9-7. Cardinals are 2.5 back of the Cincinnati Reds, who lost to the Pirates, while the Diamondbacks walked it off against the Dodgers, came from behind and got 2 in the 9th inning to win that game. So it's been wild to see the top teams in the National League right now all going cold at the same time. The Brewers have lost 3 straight. The Phillies have lost 3 straight. The Dodgers have now lost back-to-back games. The Cubs have lost 5 in a row. Those are the top 4 seeds right now in the National League. All of them are on losing streaks at the moment. Meanwhile, number 2 seed, as far as the wild cards part goes, the Padres have won 4 in a row, and they're now threatening the Dodgers. They're threatening to take over the NL West from the Los Angeles Dodgers. They're trying to get that crown. So that's gotten exciting with Mike Shildt and company. The Diamondbacks have won 3 in a row, which has created life for the Cardinals, where there shouldn't be any at all. Like, there's no reason the Cardinals should be at 2 games under 500 competing for a spot in the playoffs, but here we are. The bottom line is you got to keep winning. You just got to keep winning. Take care of your own business. You need all of these guys to lose a ton of games. It's not going to happen probably, so I'm not getting overly excited about it, but it's nice to see the team competing and playing hard, and you keep winning and we'll see what happens. That's really what you got to go with. Tonight it's Sonny Gray against former Cy Young Award winner Robbie Ray at Oracle Park. It's going to be another late one. So if you're going to be up and watching, make sure you're following me on social media, because I'll be up with you the whole time watching the games before I go over to MLB Game Night. But if this game is even remotely close to being as entertaining as Tuesday's game, you can count me in, because that was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it thoroughly. And for those of you who missed out, shame on you. Thanks for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. If you haven't already, give us a follow on X at LO_Cardinals and to JD Sports Radio, TikTok, and Instagram at Locked On Cardinals. Please like and subscribe on YouTube. It really does help our channel and our love for the St. Louis Cardinals grow. You guys are the best fans in baseball for a reason. I'll see you next time on Locked On Cardinals.